I know you're very passionate about being a professor, but what would you be doing if you weren't a professor?
I love watching English Premier League and getting tattoos and fermenting food. So if I could figure out a way that I could do all of those things.
That's so interesting. What makes this university special to you?
For me, what makes Syracuse University special is the students. And I think that one of the things I really love about teaching is to have that opportunity to connect about our personal experiences. Have you ever been filmed before?
No, I've also never been to People's Place before.
Okay, well this is your chance. People's Place is a great cafe.
It smells really nice.
Yeah, and it's run by the students. Morning.
What do you prefer to be called? Would you be addressed as Michael, Professor Gill?
Oh, good question. So my mom only calls me Michael, so you can call me Mike. Oh, awesome, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Ooh, this is good. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do here?
So I'm an Associate Professor of Disability Studies in the School of Education, and I teach both Disability Studies classes and Health Humanities classes.
Just for reference for people who don't know, what is Disability Studies in your own words?
Yeah, Disability Studies is the study of the history and culture of disability. So I'm not teaching people how to diagnose. I'm not teaching people about characteristics. I'm thinking about disability as a cultural experience.
As a teacher, why are you specifically so passionate about disability studies?
So I come to disability studies both as a disabled person and a person who has a long history of being connected to disabled people, loving and caring for disabled people. Disabled people have historically and continue to experience discrimination and oppression, what we call ableism, and that doesn't operate in isolation, that other systems of discrimination work together, and that part of the work I'm doing in disability studies is trying to create less oppressive futures.
I wonder, when it comes to your teaching, how that thinking of others and that diversity, equity and inclusion, accessibility comes into play in your teaching practices.
Yeah, so I love teaching. I think that's the piece of my job that certainly keeps me here and excited to do the work I do. There's been a call to recognize that the canon, or like what folks have historically taught, has only reflected certain perspectives, certain ideas. And usually those are, the white, middle class, heterosexual, English-speaking, college-educated experiences. And part of what I'm doing in my classes, particularly in the work around disability studies, is to recognize that BIPOC folks with disabilities, people who have been in institutions, people who haven't had access to higher education, their stories historically have not been seen as valid because they're not being shared. And so I try to think about what are the ways that I can utilize blogs and other materials and first-person narratives and other stories to give that incredible diversity of experience, to recognize that not every person with disabilities experience is the same. I want to expose my students to the work that, frankly, I was not exposed to in graduate school. I love to learn from my students, right? We all have different experiences, and I think that one of the things I really love about teaching is to have that opportunity to connect about our personal experiences and to recognize that there has been and continues to be opportunities for us to connect across difference.
Yeah. Why Syracuse University? What makes this university special to you?
For me, what makes Syracuse University special is the students. It's the students that I get to interact with and learn from. It's the students I get to teach. It's the students that hold me accountable. I want them to have the opportunity to learn and to go make less oppressive futures, to create change.
You said the style of teaching that you experienced in the past was quite limited. How do you decide what you teach?
I think there's great flexibility, and part of what I've been able to do is think about not only teaching directly related to my research, so I've taught courses about intellectual disability and human rights, but also that I've been able to teach courses that force me to expand what I know. I taught a class about fermentation, which is like this thing that I'm really excited about.
That's so interesting. What brought you to like topics such as these?
Well, I mean, for me, fermentation was this focus that came out of my work in food allergies and food studies. You know, I have fermented at home. I make kimchi, I make other vegetable-based ferments. I've learned how to make cheese. And I started reading what people have written about fermentation. And one of the pieces about fermentation is it's deeply connected to stories, right? So folks will learn how to ferment often from people in their family. And there's such rich histories of fermentation. One of the things about Syracuse also that makes it unique is that sometimes refugee populations have been resettled in Syracuse. And when they resettle, they bring all these food traditions with them. There's so many interesting different types of opportunities to learn.
I know you're very passionate about being a professor, but what would you be doing if you weren't a professor?
So if there was no like limitations on that question, I'd be, I'm too old now, but I would have had a really great career as an English Premier League footballer. And then now I would be a tattoo artist. So I think that I think that those are things that I'm really interested in. I love watching English Premier League and getting tattoos and fermenting food. So if I could figure out a way that I could do all of those things, maybe like a traveling fermenter who sells my products and then goes and watches football, I don't know.
Just set up a tattoo shop, have the show on, serve people kimchi.
There you go.
Then give them tattoos of the kimchi.
Oh.
That's like strictly the only tattoo you make.
Fair enough. I'm a terrible artist though.
It was so wonderful to be able to talk to you and get to know more about your practice. So I'm so glad that we got to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Soup. It's been great to get to know you a little better and to have this conversation and to get me to think about sort of, what is it about teaching? What is it about Syracuse that I like? So it's been great. Thank you.